Choice you made love long before I spoke it. I didn't choose you in a moment. I didn't wake up one day overwhelmed by certainty, driven by emotion, or caught in the rush of something new and intoxicating. What I felt didn't arrive loudly or suddenly. It arrived quietly, steadily, in the way truth usually does when it isn't trying to impress you. I chose you long before I ever considered asking you to say yes. At first, I didn't even recognize it as a choice. It felt more like an alignment that kept returning no matter where my thoughts wandered. A calm presence that didn't demand attention but remained consistent, grounding, and unmistakably real. I noticed it in how my body responded before my mind caught up, and how my thoughts slowed when you entered them, and how my sense of urgency dissolved without effort. That's when I understood something important. Real choice doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like relief. I've known attraction, I've known excitement, I've known intensity that burns fast and leaves you restless, always wanting more, always unsure if what you're feeling will last. This wasn't that. What I felt with you didn't pull me forward aggressively, it steadied me. And steadiness is how you know something belongs in your life. I started noticing how naturally my attention shifted toward you, not because I was chasing something, but because my mind felt quieter when it rested there. There was no urgency, no fear of missing out, no sense that time was working against me. Just a deep internal knowing that said slowly and clearly, this matters. I didn't romanticize you, that's important. I didn't turn you into an idea or a fantasy. I didn't imagine a version of you that fit my needs perfectly or filled some missing space inside me. I saw you as you are, your presence, your pace, your way of moving through the world without needing to announce yourself. And I respected that because love that begins with respect lasts longer than love that begins with desire alone. I realized that my heart had already chosen you in small, quiet ways before my mind ever put language to it. And how I became more patient, and how I listened instead of reacting, and how I stopped feeling the need to prove myself, and how I trusted silence instead of feeling it. Those shifts didn't happen because I was trying to oppress you. They happened because being aligned with you brought me back to myself. I thought about what it means to choose someone, not emotionally, consciously. Choosing someone isn't about intensity. It isn't about certainty that never waver. It isn't about believing everything will always be easy. Choosing someone is deciding that this is the person you want to grow beside, not in front of or behind. And I saw that with you clearly. I saw how you don't rush connection, how you let things unfold naturally without forcing momentum, how you respect your own boundaries without building walls, how you move with intention instead of impulse. Those qualities don't stand out in a lab world, but they endure. I noticed how my definition of love shifted quietly while I was paying attention to you. Love stopped feeling like something I needed to secure. It started feeling like something I wanted to protect. Protect the pace, protect the honesty, protect the sense of peace that existed without effort. I realized that choosing you wasn't about needing you. It was about wanting to build with you. There's a difference. Need creates pressure, want creates commitment, and commitment grows best in calm soil. I didn't choose you because you completed me. I chose you because you didn't require me to abandon myself. You didn't pull me away from who I am. You allowed me to be more grounded within it. That's rare. I thought about the future without rushing toward it. I didn't imagine perfection. I imagined consistency, mornings that don't require performance, evenings where silence feels shared, conversations that don't rush toward resolution, moments of disagreement that don't threaten connection. That's the future my heart leaned toward when it leaned toward you. I noticed how my instincts trusted you, not blindly. Naturally, I didn't feel the need to overthink, overprepare, or protect myself from possibilities that hadn't happened. My instincts stayed calm, and instincts don't calm down unless they feel safe. I paid attention to how my values align with yours without effort, how integrity mattered more than appearance, how depth mattered more than attention, how patience mattered more than speed. Those alignments don't excite the crowd, they sustain a life. I understood that my heart had chosen you not because you were perfect, but because you were real in a way that didn't ask me to be anything other than present. You didn't pull me into fantasy, you anchored me in reality. And reality is where real love lives. I realized that when I thought about committing, my body didn't tense, it softened. That's how you know the choice is right. Fear tightens you, truth relaxes you. I thought about what it would mean to ask you to say yes, not as a moment, as a lifetime of moments. Moments of showing up when it's inconvenient. Moments of listening when it's uncomfortable. Moments of choosing patience over pride. moments of repairing instead of retreating. Those moments didn't scare me, they felt meaningful. I saw you not as someone to impress, but as someone to protect. Protect your trust, protect your peace, protect the space we could build together. That instinct doesn't come from attraction, it comes from commitment forming quietly. I noticed how my heart didn't ask questions when it came to you. It didn't ask what if, it didn't ask, is this enough? It simply stayed. That's not hesitation, that's certainty without noise. I didn't rush this choice, I let it arrive on its own terms because rushed choices collapse under pressure, chosen ones endure. I thought about what kind of man I want to be, not for the world, for the woman I choose. I want to be steady, present, honest, accountable. And when I imagined being that man, you were already there. Not as a demand, as a natural fit. My heart chose you before my words ever caught up. It shows you in stillness, in patience, in respect, in alignment. And now that I'm aware of that choice, I don't feel pressure to convince you. I don't feel the need to promise perfection. I don't feel the need to rush your answer. Because real choices don't beg, they invite. So when I ask you to say yes, it won't be because I need reassurance. It will be because I'm ready to build something real, something steady, something intentional. My future wife, you're the woman my heart chose. Not impulsively, not emotionally, consciously, quietly, fully. This is where it begins. Not with urgency, with truth. The way my life quietly started making sense with you. In it, after my heart chose you, nothing dramatic happened. That's the part people rarely talk about. There was no sudden shift in the world around me, no external sign that said, this is it. My life didn't rearrange itself overnight. Responsibilities stayed the same, days moved forward the way they always had, but internally, something settled. And once something settles inside you, the way you experience everything else begins to change. I noticed it first in how I carried myself through ordinary moments. I wasn't rushing anymore, not because I had nowhere to go, but because I no longer felt chased by time. There was a calm beneath my movements, like my inner compass had finally found north. Decisions didn't feel urgent, thoughts didn't spiral, even silence felt different. It felt inhabited. I realized that my heart choosing you didn't pull me away from my life. It anchored me more deeply into it. That surprised me. I had always associated love with momentum, with forward motion, intensity, anticipation, but this didn't push me ahead. It grounded me where I was, made me more present in the life I was already living. That's when I knew this wasn't fantasy. Fantasy distracts you from reality. Truth deepens it. I started paying attention to how my nervous system responded when I thought about you. Not emotionally, physically. My breathing slowed, my shoulders relaxed, my jaw unclenched without me noticing. I didn't feel that low-level tension I had carried for years without questioning it. My body trusted you before my mind did, and bodies don't lie. I thought about the choices I'd made before, the times I mistook intensity for alignment, the times I rushed towards something because it felt exciting, only to realize later that excitement had masked instability. I remembered how much energy I spent managing uncertainty, trying to stabilize things that were never meant to be steady. With you, there was nothing to manage, nothing to chase, nothing to fix. That absence of effort told me everything. I noticed how naturally my standards shifted, not because I was trying to become better, because I didn't want to be careless anymore. Careless with my words, careless with my time, careless with my energy. When your heart chooses someone, it doesn't make you desperate, it makes you intentional. I became more aware of what I allowed into my life. Not in the controlling way, in a respectful one. I stopped engaging in things that pulled me away from my center, conversations that felt empty, commitments that drained me without purpose, situations that required me to abandon myself just to stay involved. I didn't do this dramatically. I simply stopped. I realized that choosing you made me more selective, not more isolated. I still cared deeply. I still showed up, but I showed up from a place of alignment instead of obligation. That difference is everything. And noticed how differently I handled uncertainty after that. Uncertainty used to make me restless. I needed clarity quickly. I needed answers. I needed movement. I thought that was strength. Now uncertainty didn't bother me, not because I had answers, because I trusted myself. And trusting yourself changes how uncertainty feels. I thought about how often people treat love like a gamble, as if choosing someone means risking everything. That never felt true to me with you. Choosing. He didn't feel like risking my life. It felt like choosing to live it more. Honestly, I started imagining the future without forcing it, not planning, not scripting, just noticing where my thoughts naturally went when they weren't pressured. They went toward shared mornings, shared responsibilities, shared quiet, not in a possessive way, in a peaceful one. I realized that my heart choosing you didn't come with fear. No fear of loss, no fear of rejection, no fear of being seen. Fearless doesn't mean reckless, it means safe. I noticed how patient I became, not waiting. Patient, there's a difference. Waiting implies expectation. Patience implies trust. I trusted the pace of what was unfolding because I trusted the choice I had already made internally. I thought about what commitment really means. Not permanence, presence. Commitment isn't about guaranteeing forever. It's about showing up fully today without holding part of yourself back as insurance. With you, I didn't feel the need for insurance. I became more honest with myself about what I want, about what I won't accept, about the kind of life I'm willing to build. That honesty wasn't harsh. It was grounding. I noticed how often I paused before speaking now, not because I was unsure, because I was listening. Listening to myself, listening to the moment, listening to what actually mattered instead of what felt space. That pause made my words cleaner, kinder, more accurate. I realized that choosing you didn't make my world smaller, it made it clearer. Clarity isn't about having fewer options, it's about knowing which ones align with who you are. I thought about how love stories often emphasize longing, the ache, the uncertainty, the emotional highs and lows. I didn't feel that with you. What I felt was steadiness. And steadiness doesn't sell well as romance, but it builds lives. I noticed how my sense of worth stabilized. Not because you validated me, because I wasn't seeking validation anymore. When your heart chooses someone from alignment instead of need, you stop outsourcing your sense of value. You stand in it. I became more comfortable with silence, not using it to test connection, not fearing it as distance. Silence felt shared even when we weren't speaking. That kind of silence only exists when trust is already present. I thought about how often people confuse chemistry with compatibility. Chemistry ignites, compatibility sustains. With you, I felt both, but compatibility led, and that made all the difference. I realized that choosing you meant choosing a certain kind of life, a life where communication matters more than winning, where consistency matters more than intensity, where repair matters more than pride. The life didn't feel restrictive, it felt intentional. I noticed how my inner world felt quieter, not empty, organized, like everything finally knew where it belonged. I stopped asking myself if this choice would limit me, because limitation only exists when something pulls you away from yourself. You didn't. You brought me closer. I thought about the man I am when I'm aligned, the man who listens fully, who doesn't rush emotion, who chooses accountability over defense, who stays present when things get uncomfortable. That man felt natural around you, not forced. I realized that my heart choosing you was also a choice to grow, not dramatically, consistently. Growth that doesn't exhaust you, growth that feels sustainable. I noticed how naturally I protected the idea of us, not from others, from distortion. I didn't want to rush it, didn't want to perform it, didn't want to cheapen it by turning it into noise. Some things deserve quiet. I understood then that asking you to say yes isn't about convincing you. It's about inviting you into something that already feels grounded and real. My future wife, where my heart chose you, it didn't do so loudly. It did so the way truth always does, calmly, steadily, without doubt. And everything since has felt less like chasing a future and more like standing in the beginning of something, honest, the kind of love I'm ready to give you. There's something important I need you to understand about the way my heart chose you. It didn't choose you because of who I am when things are easy. It chose you because of who I am willing to become when things are not. That distinction matters more than anything else. I didn't fall into this feeling accidentally. I walked into it with awareness. I watched myself change, not in grand gestures, but in small, quiet decisions that revealed what I was truly ready for. I became more deliberate, more patient, more accountable. Not because I felt pressured to impress you, but because choosing you made me respect the weight of love differently. I started thinking about the kind of man I want to be with you, not just for you. Not a man who promises perfection, not a man who avoids conflict, not a man who disappears when things feel heavy, but a man who stays grounded when emotions rise. I realized that real love isn't proven by intensity. It's proven by consistency. Consistency in how I speak when I'm tired, consistency in how I listen when I disagree, consistency in how I take responsibility instead of shifting blame. Those are the places where love is either built or broken. I'm ready to be the kind of partner who doesn't disappear into silence when something feels difficult. I won't punish you with distance. I won't weaponize my emotions. I won't retreat just to protect my ego. If something matters, I will stay present with it. That's not a promise born from optimism. It's a decision born from self-awareness. I've learned that love requires emotional regulation more than emotional expression. Anyone can feel deeply. Not everyone can remain steady while feeling deeply. That steadiness is something I cultivated not for appearances, not for control, but because I want to protect the space between us. I want to be someone you feel safe disagreeing with, safe saying that hurt without fear of defensiveness, safe saying I need space without fear of abandonment, safe saying I'm unsure without fear of pressure. That safety doesn't come for words. It comes from behavior. I understand now that choosing you means choosing repair over pride. When I'm wrong, I will say so. When I misunderstand, I will listen. When I hurt you unintentionally, I won't minimize it. I won't confuse explanation with accountability. I won't confuse intention with impact. I'm ready to protect your emotional world, not just admire it. That means being careful with my tone, careful with timing, careful with assumptions, not walking on eggshells, but walking with awareness. I won't ask you to carry emotional weight alone. If something is heavy, we will hold it together. If something is confusing, we will slow down together. If something hurts, we won't rush past it just to feel better. Comfort that avoids truth doesn't last. Truth held with care does. I know that love doesn't stay exciting every day. Some days it's quiet. Some days it's inconvenient. Some days it requires effort when you'd rather rest. I'm not afraid of those days. Those are the days where partnership becomes real. I want to grow with you, not ahead of you, not pulling, not pushing, matching pace, understanding that growth isn't linear and healing isn't synchronized. Some seasons I'll be strong for us, some seasons I'll need you to be. I'm not threatened by that balance. I respect it. I understand that choosing you means choosing transparency over comfort. I won't hide things just to keep peace. I won't avoid conversations because they're uncomfortable. I won't pretend Anything doesn't matter when it does. Silence that avoids truth erodes trust. I won't build love on erosion. I want to be the man who listens even when my perspective feels justified, who pauses instead of escalating, who asks questions instead of assuming, who seeks understanding instead of control. Those habits don't come naturally, they come from commitment. I'm ready to choose patience over urgency, not waiting. Patience, waiting demands outcomes. Patience trusts process. I trust what we're building enough not to rush it. I know that love doesn't protect you from life. Stress will come, disappointment will come, fatigue will come. I'm not promising to shield you from those things. I'm promising not to let them turn us against each other. I want to be someone who brings calm into your life, not because I avoid emotion, but because I know how to hold it without letting it take over. Calm is an absence of feeling. It's mastery of response. I'm ready to choose long-term thinking. Before speaking, before reacting, before deciding, asking myself, how will this land? How will this affect trust? How will this shape what we're building? That mindset changes everything. I won't treat love like something fragile that needs constant reassurance. I'll treat it like something valuable that deserves respect. Respect for boundaries, respect for timing, respect for individuality. Love that respects doesn't suffocate, it strengthens. I prepare to show up when it's inconvenient, when I'm tired, when I'm stressed, when I'd rather withdraw. Presence in those moments matters more than presence during ease. I won't confuse familiarity with neglect. I won't stop being intentional just because time passes. Intentionality isn't about grand gestures. It's about attention. I understand that commitment means choosing responsibility. Responsibility for my reactions. Responsibility for my reactions. Responsibility for my words. Responsibility for the emotional environment I contribute to. I won't outsource that responsibility to circumstance. I'm ready to build emat,